Welcome back, everybody. It has been a long time. Today, we're going to be doing something new. We're going to be ranking every SpongeBob season from season 1 to season 14. Let's dive into this already. So, number 1, season 3, the peak. Season 3 is the season where SpongeBob felt unstoppable. The humor was sharp, the animation was still expressive, and the characters hadn't yet drifted into caricatures of themselves. Episodes like Chocolate with Nuts are absolutely legendary. The escalation of nonsense, the con artist spoof, the screaming chocolate guy. It's chocolate! It's flawless. Then you've got Krusty Krab training video, a parody that shouldn't work as an episode of a kid's show, but somehow becomes one of the funniest pieces of TV from the early 2000s. And Snowball Effect might be one of the coziest winter episodes ever. SpongeBob's blind enthusiasm versus Squidward's frustration is a peak classic SpongeBob energy. Even the darker humor, like in Nasty Patty, feels perfectly balanced. Season 3 is where nearly every episode feels iconic, and it truly stood out to me as one of those seasons, and perhaps the last season of the so-called golden era of SpongeBob. Now, next on my list is Season 2. Consistent, clever, and full of classics. Season 2 often feels like the show finding its voice and realizing how weird it can be. Band Geeks is obviously the standout, arguably the most beloved SpongeBob episode in existence. But there's also Something Smells with SpongeBob's absolutely oblivious optimism, even as everyone runs in terror from his halitosis. Then we have Shanghai. Its branching endings was a childhood event, and I still quote, "Your shoes untied more than I should." After all, these are great seasons, and season 2 is truly a season where SpongeBob was starting to find itself. In fact, one of the best episodes of SpongeBob, and my personal favorite SpongeBob episode, was in season 2, and it was the episode where they think Mr. Krabs is a robot. That is truly a really good episode, and the jokes landed. The pacing is tight, and the show still has that warm, squishy, hand-drawn charm. And third on my list, and this one might be a little controversial, but season 1, which is, by the way, a really good season. It's pure, it's wholesome, and it's weirdly poetic. Season 1 is slower and softer, but that's honestly a part of its amazement. There's simplicity and innocence, and the later seasons never help to recreate. Help Wanted is still one of the best pilots ever. It gives you everything you need to understand about the series within minutes. Pizza Delivery is practically a short film. Funny, emotional, and capped off by SpongeBob belting a dramatic song about pizza.
Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza absolutiva.
Rock Bottom is surreal and atmospheric in a way the show rarely attempted again. SB129 is hands down one of the most bizarre, thoughtful time travel episodes I've seen in a cartoon. Season 1 just feels like a comfort season, and it's really where the season started to take off and find what it truly would be, and it would define what SpongeBob would be in the later seasons. It was truly a really good season. Fourth on my list is Season 4, the last classic feeling season. Season 4 is a very divisive season, but I still think it carries a lot of the old spark. Krusty Towers is one of my absolute favorites. In fact, it is my favorite episode from Season 4. Every line is quotable, and it has that escalating rule-based comedy that classic SpongeBob does best. Have you seen this snail is unsurprisingly emotional and gave us the Gary Come Home song, which is unironically a really good song. The season isn't perfect, but when it hits, it feels very close to the classic era. Now, many say that this season is after the classic era, and it was around the time of the first SpongeBob movie, which is one of my favorite movies and the best SpongeBob movie out right now. Anyways, moving on. On number 5 on my list also happens to be Season 5, mixed, but with some bright spots. Season 5 is where the show starts to wobble. It's falling off of its podium, but not without gems. The Two Faces of Squidward is goofy in the best way, and Friend or Foe actually gives us fun Plankton / Mr. Krabs backstory. In fact, they retcon this in the Plankton movie, but, Friend or Foe will always be the real backstory of the Krabby Patty secret formula and the beginning of Mr. Krabs and Plankton's rivalry. But then there are episodes like To Love a Patty, which just feel off. The humor becomes louder and more exaggerated rather than character-driven. Still, it hasn't gone fully downhill yet, but it was weird to see SpongeBob fall in love with the Krabby Patty, really. A lot of these are going to start to sound very weird. For example, it's going to say number 5 is Season 5, but honestly, this is just true. Like, watch this. Season 6 is, number 6 on my list. then this is sort of true because now it's slapstick over substance. Season 6 is where the show leans way too hard into the gross out humor and screaming. House Fancy's infamous for the toenail scene, which makes my spine compress, not in a good way. But even here, there are episodes I enjoy, like Not Normal. It plays out the idea of SpongeBob being intentionally dull, and it's actually pretty clever. Sandcastles in the Sand is visibly great and feels creatively inspired, but overall, too many episodes feel loud instead of funny. Personally, in my opinion, though, season 6 is a hit or miss season. I mean, look, you're going to have good episodes, you're going to have bad episodes, and I do like Squilliam's Mansion from House Fancy, but yeah, that toenail scene was not the best there. And I'm also pretty sure this is the season with the splinter. That's also one where SpongeBob's finger goes really big from that splinter. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you're looking at season 6. Now, season 7, the low point. Now, season 7 has some good episodes near the end, like Legends of Bikini Bottom, which will be controversial to many, but I personally find Legends of Bikini Bottom pretty well and pretty nice. Anyways, but this really starts to go downhill. I mean, look, the low point. Season 7 is rough. A lot of plots feel repetitive, and the humor often crosses into the uncomfortable territory. One-course meal is the biggest offender. Tentacle Vision and The Inside Job have good moments, but the season struggles to find charm. SpongeBob feels less like a sweet optimist and more like an oblivious nuisance, which is the sign of the writing slipping. This is also around the time that Steven Hillenburg started to step away from SpongeBob. He did that right after the SpongeBob movie, but I feel like his charm stood around until around this season. Now, season 8 is much more funny. In fact, it had a really funny moment, and I'll show it to you right here.
Let's see, where could SpongeBob be? Aha! Congratulations! You have found your friend! Oh, SpongeBob is right behind this door! I'm coming to get you, buddy!
Anyways, season 8. It's a slight recovery, but it's still meddling. Season 8 starts crawling back upward. A Friendly Game is a fun, chaotic little story about mini golf, and Frozen Face Off is surprisingly entertaining for a special, but there's still episodes that feel like shadows of what they could be. Squid Dits or Bubble Trouble, where the jokes didn't quite land. Also, Squid Dits is a very weird episode name. But yeah, season 8 did have that one funny scene of Patrick in Glove World where he thought that SpongeBob looking wire thing was actually SpongeBob. It's more funny when you actually see the clip. But yeah, overall season 8 was also like starting to slip around. I mean, this is like mid SpongeBob. Now reach season 9, what I consider to be the start of modern SpongeBob. A tale of two halves. Season 9 is interesting because the first half still feels like the late 2000s SpongeBob, like season 7, season 8. You know, it's not really great. But the second half, post the movie, talking about Sponge Out of Water, not the first movie, is genuinely refreshing. They introduce these new characters like that one fish, Rube, who says amazing all the time. And then, of course, Plankton's pet, Spot, which is, you know, it's an okay episode. And then we have Kenny the Cat, weird but fun. And then we have Evil Spatula. This is probably the best episode out of season 9. And it has that classic style silliness. You can tell the writers wanted to bring back the show to its roots. We now reach season 10. Short but pretty fun. Season 10 is the shortest season in all of SpongeBob. And when I rewatched it, I was like, why is this so short? Well, I don't know why. And I probably will never know why. But you know what? It's tiny, but surprisingly solid. Mermaid Pants, Whirly Brains, and Unreal Estate capture some of that old magic creativity. This season still doesn't compare with the early years, but it's clear the show has regained some personality and warmth. Personally, I found season 10 okay. You know, it wasn't bad. I also found season 9 okay. I mean, look, these are starting to go down on my list, especially compared to the mid-seasons and especially the early seasons, which I liked. And you know what? But it wasn't the best. You know, modern SpongeBob isn't good. It's starting to lose itself. It already kind of had. It's lost itself. You know, modern SpongeBob has lost the plot. And I see like they're trying to bring that back now with season 14. But anyway, we now reach season 11. It's energetic and more visually creative. The tone here is more bouncy and the animation is far more expressive. Doodle Dimension is a standout, especially for fans of season 2's Frankendoodle. Now then there's Mall Girl Pearl, which the episode itself is okay. However, I find Pearl a very annoying character. I find Pearl's friends very annoying. As the show goes on, they become more annoying. And you can see that. They try to make Pearl this stereotypical teenage girl that's very annoying and makes me want to destroy the screen, which it does. But I don't really like Pearl as a character. And quite frankly, I never really did. Yeah. But you know what? The stories are just simple in season 11. But the show still feels more alive again. But just not quite the same as the flavor of the classic seasons. We now reach season 12, the most controversial SpongeBob season, and what many consider to be the worst season of SpongeBob. Season 12 has episodes that are actually clever, like Plankton's old chum, the Krusty Slammer, and Stormy Weather. Now, when I look at season 12, I'm like, what is this season? Because it has some okay episodes for modern SpongeBob, and then it has a really bad episode. My least favorite episode of SpongeBob is in season 12, and you can tell what it is. It is the Nitwitting, the worst episode of all of SpongeBob. If you took that episode out of season 12, I'd rank season 12 a little bit higher, but anyways, the Krusty Slimer and Stormy Weather are pretty okay episodes. I mean, they're okay. But the writing leans more on creativity and loud jokes. And you know what? They tried that new creativity of modern SpongeBob. It's like, wow. Anyways, the loud jokes are definitely in this season, and, I don't know if I like it too much. But the show seems more comfortable in its new style now, but it doesn't hit the emotional and comedic heights of the early seasons. But some episodes are, they're okay. They're okay for modern SpongeBob. Then we have season 13, high energy, but not always high quality. See, this season goes all out on visual gags and surrealism. Sometimes it works. Under the small top, something narwhal this way comes, but other times it feels like the show is trying too hard to be hyperactive. It's fun, but not memorable at all. Not as bad as season 12, but it's a very big quality dip. And here we have season 14, still ongoing and finding its place. Season 14 is still developing, but so far it feels like a continuation of the modern era style. Fast, joke-heavy, more cartooning than character-driven, but it's not that bad. The reason is because in the more mid episodes of season 14, like the middle of the season, they're trying to bring back that season 1, 2, 3 aesthetic. You can tell in the animations, like in A Fish Called Sandy, or in another episode, I forgot the name of, they bring back that more classic-like thing. I like that. You know what? It's not that bad. And the animation is amazing, but it doesn't have that emotional or nostalgic punch the classics have delivered so effortlessly. It's entertaining, but not something I revisit the way I revisit seasons 1 to 3. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you again.